Thereafter, at the end of the millennium, the Lord himself, in the form of Buddha, will annihilate the complete creation and begin to displace its defilements. This creation is very appropriately compared to clouds. Clouds are created for situated in the sky, and when they are displaced, they remain in the same sky without manifestation. Similarly, the whole creation is made by the Supreme Personality of God in his form of Brahma. It is maintained by him in the form of Vishnu, and it is destroyed by him in the form of Buddha, or Shiva, or the destroyer. This creation, maintenance, and destruction is nicely explained in the Bhagavad Gita as follows: Pregrada, Devaya, Vishnu, Sabdhavike, Rajyagame, Vashabhata, Sarvapyadame, Vaskarmati Bhava, No, Rapo, Yamdasana, the nature of the material world is that it is first created very nicely, then it develops very nicely and stays for a great number of years, even beyond the calculation of the greatest mathematicians. But after that, it is again destroyed during the night of Brahma without any resistance, and at the end of the night of Brahma, it is again manifested as creation, follow the same principle of maintenance and destruction. Foolish conditioned soul who has taken this temporary world as a permanent settlement has to learn intelligently why such creation and destruction take place. The fruitive actors in the material world are very enthusiastic in the creation of big enterprises, big houses, big empires, big industries, and so many big things out of the energy and ingredients supplied by the material agents of the Supreme Lord. With such resources and at the cost of valuable energy, the conditioned soul creates, satisfies his whims, but unwillingly has to depart from all his creations and enter into another phase of life and create again and again. Give hope to such foolish conditioned souls who waste their energy in this temporary material world. The Lord gives information that there is another nature, which is eternally existent without being occasionally created or destroyed, and that the conditioned soul may understand that what he should do and how his valuable energy may be utilized. Instead of wasting his energy in matter, which is sure to be destroyed in due course by the Supreme Will, the conditioned soul should utilize his energy in the devotional service of the Lord, so that he can be transferred to the other eternal nature, where there is no birth, no death, no creation, no destruction, but permanent life instead, full of knowledge and unlimited bliss. The temporary creation is thus exhibited and destroyed, just to give information to the conditioned soul who is attached to temporary things. It is often meant to give them a chance for self-realization and not for sense gratification, which is the prime aim of all creative actions. Sakalaki Vijatma Yapsistam Vidamatmano Samiyatsattale Ganim. Thereafter, at the end of the millennium, the Lord himself in the form of Buddha, the destroyer, will annihilate the complete creation and the wind to the pleasure of the clouds. So, obviously, we have been speaking about how Krishna is the creator and maintainer, how he creates the Lord Brahma, and how he maintains the Lord Vishnu. And the other feature is the Goliath, destruction. Creation is going on, maintenance is going on, and destruction also goes on. But it goes on in a very big way, too. The end of the day of Brahma, when all things are destroyed right up to the Brahmaloka trance, on the top four of the planetary system, Brahmaloka, Devaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka. So, that destruction takes place by the agency of Puja. Puja is a form of Lord Shiva. Rudra means anger. Rudra. There are 11 Rudras, expansions of Lord Shiva in this universe. And they are also expanded in everybody's body. When you get angry, there are 11 places in the body where their anger will manifest. They're also part of the Rudra expansion. root of principle. Whenever you get angry, or angry at others or whatever, that is the root of principle of anger. So, Lord Shiva manifests in this world as that Rudra. He comes out as this anger of Lord Brahma. Part of the creation is the anger of Lord Brahma. And between the eyebrows, there's also a place where anger is manifested. So, the anger is there. And that causes the destruction of the whole creation. At the end of the Brahma, at the end of the lifetime of the universe. And Lord Shiva starts to dance. And he plays on his Indian drum. And while dancing and playing on his Indian drum, the drum of two heads, one on each side, with two wooden balls tied on strings. So when you swing it this way, two balls hit the top. When you swing it that way, the two balls hit the bottom. So, what Lord Shiva does, he shakes it very rapidly. It's going and it makes this very heavy beat. This rhythm created through sound. And he starts dancing wildly to the beat. And during that dancing, fire starts to emanate out from him in all directions. And the 11 Rudras manifest out from him in all 11 directions, all 10 directions. And they start to dance wildly in their own turn. Fire comes out of their body. And this fire ultimately consumes everything in the universe. It's fire of destruction. And enormous creation is finished. Just like you burn some garbage. The garbage to a match. So the whole creation, all the time, is all in the So Krishna, when he wants to destroy, he does it very nicely. Very excellent. Perfect destroyer of the material world. Of course, Krishna himself does not destroy. Krishna himself does not contact the material nature of God. He has his agent to it, Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva does it as easily as the wind just blows away clouds in the sky. If there's a cloud in the sky, and the wind comes, blowing very hard. And the clouds are blowing away. Sometimes you don't anticipate blowing pieces of the wind. But although it's blown by the wind, it's still there. But not manifested as a cloud. It's manifested as a stable. Similarly, when Rudra causes the whole universe to be blown away like that by fire, everything's still there. Of course, today, next day of Brahma, and it can all be created again as it was, because all the immediates are there. They're just not manifested anymore. They're not manifested. So, we find that the universe, in its original nature, is very subtle. It's existing in the subtle. And from the subtle, the most grows knowledge. Now, we tend to think of it in another way. We tend to think that the real thing is the most subtle thing. But actually, the original creation takes place from the most subtle to the most gross. The most subtle aspect of the creation is the desire of the living entities to enjoy it. So that is the most subtle form. And from that comes the manifestation of the Vishnu avatar. Then from the spiritual platform of Truth avatar, we find that the sum total of ignorance is created. The ignorance is there in the form of ahankar, false ego. manifest in three different ways according to the emotions of human nature. And then, gradually, from the false ego, the intelligence is manifested for how to enjoy the material world. The mind is manifested in order to utilize an interface between intelligence and senses. And then gradually, the senses are created one after another along with the elements of the sun's object. We find that first the ether is there, or within the ether there is sound. So in order to accommodate the sound, the sun's object, the ether is there, the accommodation. And the ear is created for the capturing of that sound. There is also the sound vibration. Then there is also from the ether coming air, and that is the resting place of the sense of touch, and the skin, tactile that we create in order to experience that. Then there comes the fire, which is the resting place of the form, because an air is its own form, fire is its form. And the fire is perceived, the form is perceived by the eye. Then, from there comes the manifestation of the water, and the water embodies the first experience of taste, and the tongue is manifested. And then comes the earth, which embodies first senses. Smell and motion. Each of these elements contains other elements within it. And the earth also contains, besides you being able to smell it, you can also taste it, you can touch it, you can see it, you can hear it also. All these sensible aspects are there on earth. But in water, you cannot smell it. Water has no smell in the first state. But you can taste it, touch it, see it, and hear it. And fire, you cannot taste it or touch it or smell it. It has no smell or has no taste, no nature. But you can see it and touch it and hear it. And in the air, you can touch it and hear it. And in the ether, it's just here. Within the mind, all these things are there. All the experiences, all the sensations are captured within the mind. So it's actually, the more subtle one is, the more subtle states of belonging. All the other experiences are included within it. All the other experiences are included within it. It is just that one may not know how to manifest all those things. And ultimately, the spiritual platform, includes every experience, everything within this material world is included there. It's just that you may not know, you may not be aware of that. How from the most subtle comes all the other gross things, and how within the subtle, all these things are already there, just in the unmanifested form. Therefore, those who know the art know how to, for instance, chant mantras, which slice the ether in a certain way, agitate the ether in a certain way, to release the potencies of the ether, in order that they may be utilized by mystic yogis and powerful yogis and that. So, Krishna creates, Krishna maintains, Krishna destroys at the end. Where Krishna, the Supreme Personality, Godhead, is the one who's actually doing everything for us. But he does it through his agency. We explained the other day, Sabhava Jnana below. Sabhava is of his own creation. Automatically, Jnana knowledge, bala, strength, kriya, prowess, and expertise are manifested automatically, just from the prowess, the self-manifested qualities, svabhavati, the characteristics of the Supreme. They are automatically manifested. These knowledge, strength, prowess. These qualities which are required for activity to take place automatically from Krishna's personal desires. It is not that Krishna requires to make a scheme for how to act in this material world and then execute the scheme as we have to. We have to make a plan and then execute the plan. But not so, Krishna. His plan is automatic, and the execution of his plan is also automatic. It goes by the nature of his energy. By the nature of his energy, these things take place. It is automatic. It does not require Krishna himself to be personally involved in organizing all these things. That's personal also. When you're so powerful that your energies do everything automatically, that's also personal. But it is not that you have to think about it or be concerned with it. It will go on anyway automatically. That's how powerful one is. Things just happen and you're not even aware of it. Could be aware of it, Ronnie. Krishna is aware of every single aspect of his creation. But Krishna, if you were to go see Krishna at any given moment, where you select, you would see him in the local Pregrada, playing with his cowherd girlfriend, engaged in transcendental pastimes without any disturbance, dancing in the forest. So you would wonder how Krishna is also aware of his whole creation in every little tiny portion of it everywhere. One might think that this doesn't seem possible. But Krishna is infinite, and he can see and understand everything everywhere, because as the Super Soul, he is manifesting in every atom, in every hive, in every place. Krishna knows everything. But it is not that he has to personally pay attention to all these details. It is simply the infinite expansion of his own energy. And we can't understand it. For us, we understand that what we have to do or what we have to accomplish has to come from some of our energy. And since we have limited energy, we can do one thing at a time, maybe two. We can understand something, not very much. But for Krishna, he can do everything simultaneously. And we can't understand how. We can't understand how he can be engaged, for instance, in dancing with his gopi girlfriend and not be at all concerned with anything else, yet be fully aware of it and not aware of it simultaneously, as he does. And yet, although fully absorbed in enjoying affairs with his devotees, he's not neglectful of the material world. That's also all going on. This is inconceivable to us, exactly how that's taking place. Of course, a puffed up person would like to discuss these topics as if he understood it. But an honest person will understand it. It's far beyond our capacity to understand. We can theoretically, yes, accept this. Krishna's doing all these things simultaneously. Theoretically. But to really have a realization of what's going on here, how's it possible? There's a limit. You cannot have realization of doing many things like this. It's like we're sitting here. So, is anybody also cooking upstairs? Just sitting here? Now, can you imagine sitting here and listening to the class and being fully absorbed in that, and at the same time cooking breakfast? And not be at all concerned, and make a very wonderful breakfast. It's not possible. Yet, that is the smallest, infinitesimal little example to explain what Krishna is doing. So who can understand it? How? We can hear it and say, yes, that's what he does. And that's about it. To understand more than that is not possible. Because for us, we can't have experience even of doing sitting and listening and cooking and breathing. Simple example. Puffed up people overthink themselves. Or they think themselves able to understand all. And although they can't even perform the simplest little activity, which would certainly save them a lot of time, they could do those two things at once in different places. It would save them a lot of time, twice as much time. But since we're unable to do that, then where do we come off proclaiming ourselves God? In fact, we can't even accomplish one thing in one place right now. Can't even do one thing in one place, yet one wants to proclaim that he's the one who's doing everything in every place perfect. And yet there are persons in this world who say such a certain thing. Because they have no understanding of what is actually right. And Krishna himself, he is always engaged in pleasure activity. Because if he's the Supreme, he does not have to work like us. The Supreme does not have to work hard at the business of creation, maintenance, construction, especially here in the material world. This is done by his representatives. Real Supreme will just simply be engaged in pleasure activity. Otherwise, what is the use of being the Supreme? The Supreme must be the Supreme Enjoyer. And as the Supreme Enjoyer, he is very, very nicely engaged in enjoying. Whereas we always have to be engaged in work. Everyone else also in the material world, even the big demigods, were much, much bigger than us, thousands of times, you can't even imagine. They have to work. If they become lazy and don't do their job, then the whole universe starts to fall apart. And then everybody gets on their case. They don't do that, therefore it doesn't happen. But were they to, things would become very chaotic. Sometimes, for instance, Indra gets cursed because he's not acting very nicely. So during the time when he's away from the heavenly planets, there's chaos. Because without a king, everything goes crazy, even if it's in the heavenly planets. So we find that demigods have to work. They have to hold down their job. Otherwise, if they don't do their work, hold down their job, then they cannot maintain the universe, and they can't even maintain their position. So who is there that doesn't have to work? Only Krishna. He never works. But when he comes to this material world, he performs his pastimes of performing activities. Just to give a good example. Whatever a great man does, the common man will follow. And whatever course of action he pursues, by his exemplary acts, all the world pursues as well. Therefore, Krishna says, then I act just to give the conditioned soul the example, what to follow. I act. I perform work, for if I did not, then all the worlds would fall into rumination, because everybody would cease to work. They would say, Krishna doesn't work, we don't have to work. Because everybody's imitating Krishna all the time, isn't he? So therefore, Krishna, when he comes, he has to give the good example for everybody to imitate. Otherwise, they'll do all the wrong things. So even Krishna says, I don't have to work. There's no work that binds me. I'm not bound to work in this world. We all, the rest of us, are bound to work because we've done so many actions and karma that force us to get reactions, that we're forced to work to get those reactions. But Krishna is not bound to work like that because he has no reactions to get. So Krishna says, there's no work that binds me. I'm not bound by this work because Krishna is transcendental. But he will work anyway, just for our sake. So, therefore, we can also understand an interesting point, is that we devotees of the Lord must also perform exemplary actions so that others may follow these actions and become Krishna conscious. We should act in a very exemplary fashion. Therefore, we have this process which we strictly follow. Programs, we're doing this part of the program. Chanting of 16 rounds, the following of the 4 regular principles, no eating of meat, fish, or eggs, or onions, or garlic, or anything that's not offered to Krishna. No intoxication, or even coffee, tea, or cigarettes, or any other form of intoxication. No gambling, and no illicit sex life outside of marriage and for producing Krishna-conscious children. We find these rules and regulations make one exemplary. If one simply follows these rules and regulations, he becomes exemplary. He becomes an example for the whole world to follow. And such devotees can illuminate the whole creation by bringing Krishna consciousness, by distributing Krishna consciousness, giving transcendental illumination to the darkened world, which has lost all vision due to the ignorance of this material nature. Therefore, this Krishna consciousness movement is meant to train up first-class men. In the human society, there's all classes, except there's no first class. There's plenty of workers, plenty of money makers or farmers, plenty of kshatriyas or fighters, but there are no qualified teachers, no brahmanas. Of course, just being a brahmana, there's no use to that either. Just being a brahmana, without being a Vaishnava, a devotee of the Lord, is also not very valuable. But Prabhupada said he wanted to train up a class of Vaishnava brahmanas, those who actually know the transcendental science of Krishna consciousness and can act that way, and give it to others, teachers. So, we require many such qualified teachers. So we are requesting you all to become very qualified. Today we will make one initiation ceremony for initiating, starting the procedures for becoming qualified. It's not the end, it's the beginning. To become qualified. And by becoming so qualified, one will be able to save others in this world who are suffering through the dense darkness of ignorance and sage of color. So we request you all to follow carefully these principles and chant very carefully the Hare Krishna mantra, and gradually become very qualified by reading these books and learning Shastra. Become qualified to go back home, back to Godhead, and bring many others back with you. Alright, Hare Krishna. So we make Prabhupada do it, and right afterwards I will chant Brahma Samhita. You set up everything, and I'll go upstairs and get all these things coming on this property.